Duration of notes and rests. In this lecture, we will take a look at different types of notes as well as rests. We will learn about the duration. Each of these notes have an American and a British name. Whole note, half note, quarter note, eighth note. The whole note is also called a semibreve. It looks like a small circle or small letter O. In sheet music, it is oval shaped. It has a value of 4. In other words, it lasts for 4 beats or counts. The half note is also called a minim. It looks almost like a whole note, except for the fact that it has a stem attached to it. This note has a value of 2. It receives 2 beats or counts. 2 half notes equal the value of 1 whole note. If a note has a stem, the stem must always be on the right if the notehead is at the bottom. If the notehead is at the top, the stem must be on the left. All notes with stems follow this rule. Quarter notes facing upwards and downwards. When the head of a note is placed above line 3 of the staff, the stem is usually drawn downward on the note's left side. When the head of the note is located below line 3, the stem usually goes upward on the right side. When notes are on the middle or third line, the stems can go either way. In other words, they can face either upwards or downwards. The quarter note is also called a crotchet. It looks like a filled-in circle or oval with a stem. While the notehead of a half note is hollow, the notehead of a quarter note is all black. This note has a value of 1. It receives 1 beat or count. 4 quarter notes equal the value of 1 whole note. 2 quarter notes equal the value of 1 half note. The eighth note is also called a quaver. It has a value of half. It receives half a beat or count. It looks like a quarter note, except that a tail or flag has been added to it. When 2 or more eighth notes sit next to each other, the flags can often be joined together. In this case, we still have 2 eighth notes that equal a value of 1. Half plus half equal 1. When notes are joined together like this, it's called beaming. Instead of saying that the notes are joined together, you can see that they are beamed together. 2/8 notes beamed together. 4/8 notes beamed together. How many eighth notes equal the value of a whole note? The answer is 8. How many eighth notes equal the value of a half note? The answer is 4. How many eighth notes equal the value of a quarter note? The answer is 2. Note value pyramid. Whole note 4 counts. Half note 2 counts. Quarter note 1 count. Eighth note half a count. 16th note quarter of a count. A pyramid can help you remember the value of notes. It will show you how each note fits into other notes. 2/8 notes and an eighth rest. We saw earlier that for notes which have a stem, the stem must be on the right if the note head is at the bottom, and it must be on the left if the note head is at the top. However, for notes which have a flag, the flag is always on the right, whether the stem is on the right or left. The flag is never on the left. 2 16th notes and the 16th rest. The 16th note is also called a semiquaver. The word semiquaver suggests that it is half a quaver. Its value is half the value of an eighth note. A 16th note has the value of a quarter, 1/4. It receives a quarter of a beat or count. This note looks like an eighth note, except that it has 2 flags. When 16th notes sit next to each other, they can be beamed together. Different notes with flags can often be joined or beamed together. 16 16th notes equal the value of 1 whole note. Dotted notes. When a dot is to the right of a note, it means that you are to increase the value of the note by half its original value. For instance, if a dot is placed after a half note, which has the value of 2, the note now has a value of 2 plus 1, or a value of 3 beats. If a dot is added to a whole note, you must add half the value of a whole note to that note. A whole note has a value of 4. Half of 4 is 2. This means that a dotted whole note has the value of 6. If a dot is added to the right side of a quarter note, you must add half the value of a quarter note. The value of a quarter note is 1. Half of 1 is half. Therefore, the value of a dotted quarter note is 1 plus half, and that is equal to 1.5. A dotted eighth note has the value of half plus a quarter, and that is equal to 3/4. Rests. Music rests. Whole rest, 4 beats. Half rest, 2 beats. Quarter rest, 1 beat. Eighth rest, half a beat. A rest is a sign used to designate a period of silence. In other words, a rest tells a musician to stop playing for a specific amount of time. The period of silence will be of the same duration as the note to which it corresponds. A quarter rest or crotchet rest looks like a squiggly line. It has a value of 1. It suggests that you must be silent for a value of 1 beat or count. A good way to write this rest is to draw a small Z or Z and add a little loop like a small C at the bottom. It takes some practice to get this right. An eighth rest or quaver rest looks like the number 7 with a dot at the top left end. Like an eighth note, it has a value of half. You must be silent for half a beat or count. A 16th rest or semiquaver rest looks almost like an eighth rest, except that it has 2 arms. A 16th rest has a value of a quarter. No note is played for the value of 1/4 of a beat or count. A half rest or minim rest looks like a dark rectangle attached to a bar line facing upwards. Some say that it looks like a hat. It sits on the 3rd line. This rest, like a half note, has a value of 2. No note is played for 2 beats. A whole rest or semibreve rest looks like a dark rectangle attached to a bar line facing downwards. It hangs from the 4th line. Some say that this rest looks like an upside down hat. Like a whole note, a whole rest has a value of 4 beats or counts. Dotted rests. As we saw earlier, a dot after a note simply suggests that we should add half the value of a note to itself. The same applies to a dot after a rest. Simply add half the value of the rest to itself. A dotted half rest or dotted minim rest is a half rest with a dot to the right of it. It adds half the value of a half rest to itself. 2 plus 1 equals 3. Therefore, it has the value of 3. Dots can be added to every other rest, thereby increasing the rest's value by a half. For instance, the value of a dotted quarter rest is 1 plus half equals 1.5. The value of a dotted whole rest is 4 plus 2 equals 6. The value of a dotted eighth rest is half plus quarter equals 3/4.